Should we be spending more of our money in person again? Cybersecurity threats and internet scams seem to be piling up around every corner. Researchers are now warning of crooks impersonating delivery companies to get hold of your money. In some cases, malicious emails and spoofed web pages urge you to make a small payment to complete a delivery. Security firm Memecast says nearly 5,000 such messages have been sent since Black Friday. Brian Pinnock is a cybersecurity expert and he joins us now. Let's find out more about what to be on the lookout for. You know, people were concerned about Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and once that was over, we thought we were safe. But now the delivery part of this equation is a target. Explain more about exactly what this scam involves, Brian.
Good morning. Yes, thanks for having me on the show. I think the challenge here is people have kind of dropped their guard now. They feel that now that Black Friday weekend is over, that any sort of scams that they may have been exposed to are now over. Unfortunately, what's happening is we've actually uncovered two very large campaigns. One that was involving postal services, wasn't just in South Africa. It was actually 26 different sort of trusted brands in postal services. And the other one involves something that Memecast threat hunting team found was delivery scams involving very well-known courier service brands. And what they do is they essentially send emails to you with a sort of vague statement to the effect that your delivery may be impacted unless you pay a small fee. And what they're doing is obviously collecting that small fee, but more importantly, they are stealing financial information from you and banking information.
Brian, I've heard that some people have been the victims of this scam in person as well, where there's a delivery person who comes to your home and claims that in order to give you the delivery, they need this small charge and they clone the card. How does that work? How do they get the information off your card?
So card cloning is a similar sort of thing, but it happens, obviously, as you say, in person. They're essentially exactly the same sort of crime. One's in real life and the other one's digital. But essentially with a card cloning situation, what they do is they take a machine at your gate, for example, and as you swipe your card, they'll actually read the magnetic stripe on your card. That's becoming less prevalent. What we found in our research is those kind of crimes are relatively high risk to the scammers. And what they do is they actually prefer to go online because there's much lower risk to themselves than having to do these things in person. But as you mentioned, both of those things are happening. So it's sort of up to us as consumers to be very, very alert to these sorts of things.
Brian, what are the indicators of a fraudulent email or SMS? Are there any things we should be looking out for that are sort of red flags?
So I guess the red flags would be anything that's surprising. And then, so for example, somebody saying that Christmas order that you put through is probably not going to make it by Christmas time unless you pay an extra fee. So any additional fees that you weren't aware of, those kinds of things, and then any sense of urgency. What cyber criminals do is they play on our psychology and they create this artificial sense of urgency. We used to give advice to say, look out for brands that look wrong or links that look wrong. Unfortunately, that advice is outdated now. The cyber criminals are very good at impersonating brands. The brands actually look incredibly realistic, and I wouldn't rely on that as a method to sort of determine whether or not that's a scam. Really what you've got to do, if you see something that seems too urgent and is outside of the ordinary that you were expecting, rather phone the online retailer or whoever you're expecting that delivery from and confirm and put the numbers through. Because, of course, as consumers, we don't remember all of our weighable numbers and order numbers and things. So most of those numbers are fake, and you'll very quickly pick it up that way.
All right, Brian, just one more question with regards to online shopping as we go into the festive season. I know many banks are starting to offer virtual bank cards, the ones that have a CVV number that changes every hour. Just how safe are those? And would you advise people to rather use those if they're shopping online?
Absolutely. I think those are a very, very good innovation that banks are starting to bring out now. What that does, it doesn't stop you from being defrauded, but it does stop further fraud from happening. So if you are the victim of a fraud and you happen to use that virtual card, all that will happen is you'll lose the money that you put into that card, which is at least limited. So what it does is it limits your exposure to fraud. Nothing, no system is perfect. But it's also up to the banks and the courier companies and the online retailers to protect their brands. And there's a number of things that they can actually do. Our research has actually shown that consumers expect those large brands to actually protect their brands online. And we find some are very good at doing that, others less so.
All right. Thank